In Chinatown, Private Detective Walter notices that he's being followed. He starts walking faster and drops a package into a mailbox before leaving. Unfortunately, as soon as he reaches the street, he's hit by a van. Walter is left bleeding on the ground while the van drives away. In Hawaii, Navy Commander James is training his team in a pool. Nobody can stay underwater for as long as he can, so he comes out to scold them. He's interrupted by a soldier informing him that he has an important call from the police. Moments later, James is in the morgue looking at his father's body. He's told that Walter was killed by a hit and run, but James doesn't show any emotion. Afterward, James goes home and starts preparing dinner for his family. When his wife Layla asks about his day, he tells her about the training and casually mentions that Walter died, calling him by his name instead of Dad. Layla mentions that his brother should be informed, however James reminds her that they haven't talked in years and his brother won't pick up his calls. In Oklahoma, James' half-brother Johnny finds his girlfriend Valentina packing her things because she wants to leave. Today is her birthday and Johnny has forgotten, which is the final straw. Johnny is always fooling around and doesn't take anything seriously, so Valentina has had enough. Johnny apologizes and swears he'll do better, so Valentina kisses him. However, she also slaps him and leaves anyway. A depressed Johnny spends the next few hours drinking to forget. At that moment he gets a call from Layla, who informs him of Walter's death and tells him that the funeral is tomorrow. Johnny has no interest in attending and goes to the bathroom while telling her about his police work. Suddenly 2 men appear behind him and put a knife to his neck. When Johnny turns to look at them, he accidentally pees on their shoes. These men want the package that Walter sent, but Johnny has no idea what they're talking about and explains he hasn't seen Walter since he was a child. The men show him their tattoos to prove they're Yakuza and threaten to kill him if they don't get the package. Johnny pretends to beg for his life only to attack them. He throws the guys around his bathroom and destroys several things including the door. A third man comes in and opens fire, so Johnny has to take cover. One of the first attackers then wakes up, so Johnny throws him against the door and pushes it to trap the shooter as well, punching him through the wood. Then Johnny starts using furniture as weapons and even takes a break to have a drink. The fight continues for a while and Johnny manages to knock out 2 men. The last one finds his mother's shrine and destroys it, so Johnny grabs a grater and brutally slides it on the guy's arm. Then he smashes the man's head on the table and punches him from behind, knocking out his teeth. On the same table, he finds a note from Valentina that says, "Thanks for nothing." The mobsters come back for more and Johnny is almost choked to death, but he throws the guy on the glass shards to kill him. Afterward, Johnny picks up the picture of his mother with his younger self. Hidden behind it is Walter, and John insults him. The next day at the funeral, James notices that both the Yakuza and the Syndicate gangs have come. He's also surprised by Johnny's arrival and they immediately start arguing and insulting each other, so the priest has to scold them. After the priest's speech, Walter's ashes are sent away on a boat. Later, Johnny discovers that James is living in his childhood home. It's revealed that Walter cheated on James' mother and had Johnny with his lover. James' mother still welcomed Johnny into her house, but James didn't like him because the affair destroyed his family. During lunch, the family is joined by Governor Peter since Johnny's half-sister Haunani works for him. Johnny reveals that he didn't come for his brother, he came because he wants to find Walter's killer. James insists it was a hit and run, so Johnny tells him about last night's attack. An argument ensues and James accuses Johnny of bringing trouble everywhere. When Johnny points out that James didn't help him when his mother was killed either, James freezes for a second before asking him to talk in private. At the beach, the brothers start arguing again and James refuses to believe Walter's death wasn't an accident, so Johnny gives him the finger and leaves. At a bar, Johnny bumps into his old friend Alakai, who belongs to the Syndicate gang. Alakai's boss Mr. K wants to see Johnny, but he isn't interested. Suddenly he starts feeling sick and passes out as he realizes that Alakai put a sedative in his drink. Moments later, Johnny wakes up in a room with Mr. K, who points out that Johnny hurt a lot of his men in the past. Johnny says he did it because the Syndicate killed his mother. Mr. K asks Johnny to leave Hawaii, but he refuses, so he throws him on a table and carves his initial on Johnny's neck. He gives him 7 days to leave or they'll kill him. Meanwhile, James goes to see Detective Rennert and asks for Walter's report. Rennert tells him he's free to look, but there's no useful information. The accident happened in an area where people won't talk to the police and the only camera was broken. The police are sure it was a hit and run, so nobody is investigating the case. Then James gets Walter's belongings from the station. There's a knife and a wallet with a ticket with a peculiar list of words. At the same time, Johnny breaks into Walter's home. He finds a gun in the desk and decides to keep it. Suddenly someone else enters the apartment, so Johnny hides in another room. Pika starts searching the papers on the desk and Johnny tries to take him by surprise, but Pika throws a plate at him and runs away. He jumps on a bunch of roofs and cars to make it to the ground, but when he reaches the main street, Johnny is waiting for him with a punch. Then Johnny takes Pika to a bar and demands an explanation. Pika says he worked for Walter, who was like a father to him. Walter had tons of enemies who wanted him dead and his last job was with a catering company. Pika pretended to be a waiter for them, but he never understood why Walter gave him that job. Johnny announces that Pika will work for him now and painfully squeezes Pika's broken nose to put it in place. Back to James, he's come to the scene of the crime and studies the tire marks on the street. He then notices a camera in an adult shop, so he goes inside and tries to offer money in exchange for seeing the security footage. When the owner refuses, James attacks the clerk by ripping off his piercings. Later Johnny and Pica return to Walter's place and find a surfing board. Pica says that Walter didn't surf and Johnny notices that a fin is wrong. When he pulls it, some blueprints fall from a hidden compartment. Johnny calls Nani and tells her that these secret blueprints have Peter's government seal, so she promises to check the database later. When Pica tries to leave, he's suddenly hit by the front door. James bursts into the apartment with his gun out, so Johnny pulls out his weapon too. They realize they're both working on the case, so they put their guns away and James reveals a flash drive with the security footage from the store. As they watch it, they notice that the van has no license plate. The driver never swerves, so Johnny thinks that this looks deliberate, but James still wants more proof. Johnny sends Pica to get information on the catering company from Walter's last job before the brothers leave in the car. They argue while they drive, so they don't see the vehicle around the corner and they crash. This big car keeps pushing theirs down the street, causing other vehicles to crash as well. Then some guys in the car open fire, so Johnny speeds up only to accidentally hit some restaurant tables. The vehicles are stuck together so the brothers can't leave. Johnny tries shooting the enemy's car, but its windows are bulletproof. Thankfully James manages to kill the shooter with a bullet to the head. He tries to kill the other men too, but he runs out of bullets. Then Johnny shoots the door and jumps out of the car. He runs down the street and keeps firing back at his pursuers while everyone around them panics. James finds some ammo before climbing out of the car through the window and jumps onto the enemy's vehicle, however his bullets can't break the glass. Johnny shoots the enemy's engine, causing the car to explode and crash while James lands on the pavement. At the police station, Rennert yells at the brothers for the chaos they caused and reveals that Johnny was suspended from his police job 2 months ago. He's now being investigated for excessive force. James gives Rennert the flash drive and asks him to investigate the case, but Rennert ignores it and tells them to behave. In the evening, Nani shows the brothers what she found in the system. The blueprints were for a property on the east side and commissioned by a man named Marcus, who has resorts all over the world. James notices a seal that says Sacred Casino Princess on the back of the blueprints, which is strange because gambling is illegal on the island. The group agrees they'll have to talk to Marcus during the annual fundraiser tomorrow. The next morning James asks Johnny why he got suspended. Johnny explains he shot a dealer who was selling substances to kids, and James appears to be accepting. Then the brothers go to the area where the casino was supposed to be built. It's not a construction site, it's a Hawaiian village that has belonged to the local community for centuries. At that moment Johnny gets a call from Pica, who tells him that the police retrieved a blue van from the water. The brothers rush to the scene and discover that the cops have also found the body of a government accountant. The van has no plates, but Rennert has a list of all the registered blue vans on the island. The brothers take a look and try to keep the list, but Rennert takes it back and reminds them to stay away from this mess. Once Rennert is gone, Johnny asks Pica to research the name Hayashi Imports, which was the only Japanese name on the list. A few hours later, Pica is working as a waiter at the fundraiser event and gets extra uniform shirts for the brothers so they can sneak in. He's also researched Hayashi Imports and confirms it belongs to the Yakuza. The team splits to avoid looking suspicious and James ends up serving Nakamura, who casually puts happy powder on his plate. James steals Nakamura's credit card from the plate and notices it says Hayashi Imports. He gives the card back to Nakamura by pretending he found it on the floor and asks if Hayashi Imports lost a blue van. A suspicious Nakamura indirectly threatens James before walking away. Meanwhile Johnny introduces himself to Monica, who recognizes his surname and asks about Walter. After Johnny tells her about the incident, Monica reveals that she's Marcus' wife and wants to get a divorce, so she hired Walter to acquire some leverage. Without it, she won't be safe. She doesn't want to say too much in public and asks Johnny to come to her penthouse tomorrow. Afterward some armed guards surround the brothers and drag them to see Marcus, who claims that he hired Walter and paid him well for his discretion. Marcus seems to be surprised to hear that Walter is dead, however Johnny thinks he killed him. An angry Marcus denies it and says he hired Walter to check if Monica was cheating on him. Thankfully she wasn't. While Johnny starts playing with a grenade he finds on the desk, James notices a napkin with 2 fingers inside. Marcus moves them out of sight and kicks the brothers off his property. After they're gone, Marcus looks at Monica's picture and wonders what she's done. The next day Johnny goes to the penthouse only to find ambulances, the police, and a crowd. A closer look reveals Monica's dead body on top of a car. The official story says she fell from her balcony. A furious Johnny returns to Marcus' mansion and starts fighting every guard that gets in his way as he tries to go inside. He manages to bring quite a few men down, but eventually the guards tase him to defeat him. Marcus checks on him and Johnny accuses him of killing Monica, but once again Marcus denies it and tells his men to call the police. A guard kicks Johnny to knock him out. Later in prison Johnny is visited by Peter, who has convinced Marcus to drop the charges. He asks Johnny to let the police handle the case and points out that Walter always had a darkness in him. Peter sees that darkness in the brothers, so he wants them to find in each other the support that Walter didn't have. When Johnny is released, James is waiting for him and scolds him for causing trouble, saying that hitting people won't bring his mother back. This makes Johnny snap, so he headbutts James and starts beating him up. James defends himself and they end up fighting all over the police cars, breaking a few windows. The fight soon moves to the mud and James gains the upper hand, obtaining the victory by hitting Johnny in the face multiple times. Johnny then wonders what kind of man abandons his little brother when he needs him the most, referring to the time James sent him away. However, James says he did it to protect him because the syndicate was going to kill him. Johnny explains that he's haunted by the sight of his mother's dead body and that James was all he had left. Finally realizing the gravity of his actions, James apologizes. Later at home, Johnny gets a call from Valentina, who went back to his house to get the mail and found Walter's infamous package. Inside there's a flash drive, and Johnny asks her to bring it to Hawaii. At the airport, Johnny tries to receive Valentina with a hug, but she just throws her suitcase at him. Everyone gets in the car and Pika tries to access the flash drive in his computer, only to find a banking firewall. Valentina realizes it's a cold wallet and explains it's digitally encrypted. The flash drive is the key, meaning the Yakuza wants it to access someone's account. The password needs 12 randomly generated words, so James gives Pika the ticket he found in Walter's wallet. Suddenly a helicopter opens fire at them. Johnny tries to shoot back, but James is having trouble keeping control of the car because he has to dodge the bullets but also the vehicles that the chopper brings down to block the way. Valentina convinces him to let her drive and shows amazing skill as she speeds up, driving around every crashed car as if it was nothing. Eventually the helicopter flies away and two men appear on a bike. When they open fire, Valentina has to make a sudden turn and ends up driving backwards. Johnny tries to fire at them but he misses every shot, so Valentina stops the car on purpose. The bike crashes into it and the men land on top of the car. Valentina takes off again while one of the men crawls on the car roof with the help of his blades. He makes it to the back window and gets inside the car to try to take Pika's computer. James starts fighting him while Johnny gets the second man on the hood. After landing a few hits, he has to go back inside to avoid an incoming truck. Valentina shakes the car to leave the guy hanging on the door, so he hits her with his gun. Johnny grabs his arm to divert the bullets and Valentina drives too close to the fence to crush the enemy until they rip off his arm, dropping the body on the road. James opens a door and pushes the other man to hold his head on the pavement, leaving a blood trail before throwing the body out. This causes a few civilian cars to crash. As Valentina kisses Johnny, the helicopter reappears and opens fire. The brothers fire too and James manages to hit the shooter in the head. The body falls back and the bullets hit the pilot instead, so the chopper soon crashes on the road. Valentina drives as fast as possible and enters a tunnel just in time to avoid the explosion. Afterward the group takes a break and Pika finally accesses the information on the flash drive. $12 million per year have been transferred to Peter, which makes the group realize that Marcus has been paying Peter to legalize gambling so he can open his casino and the Yakuza were hired for protection. When Walter was hired to look into the marriage, he accidentally stumbled into this conspiracy. The government accountant probably gave Walter all the information and Peter figured it out, so he had to kill everyone involved to protect his secret. Meanwhile, Nani shows the blueprints to Peter, saying that Marcus may not be a good guy after all. Peter pretends he didn't know anything and takes the blueprints, promising to review all the projects. When the group gets home, James can't find his family and tries calling them, only to find Layla's phone on the floor. He desperately searches the house and is relieved to find his kids hiding in the bathroom. They tell him that Layla was kidnapped and James hugs them to assure them there was nothing they could do to prevent it. At that moment Marcus sends them a video of Layla and Nani tied up in his basement. He wants the brothers to bring him the flash drive in exchange for the women's lives. A furious James opens his weaponry and the brothers grab as many guns as they can carry. In the evening, the duo shoots two guards outside Marcus' mansion before crossing the yard. There are more guards around and they all get killed quietly. Suddenly Marcus' car loses a window and the guards take a closer look to find a note asking them to smile. Then they're killed by Johnny, who shoots them one by one. James provides backup as a sniper and tries to kill a guy on the first floor too, however the glass is bulletproof and the resulting noise makes the guard open the window. James shoots fast to kill him as well. Suddenly the power goes out in the house and Marcus sends out one of his basement guards to investigate. The man discovers that all the cables have been cut and tells Marcus this on the radio. When he turns around, he finds all his co-workers' bodies in the pool. At that moment Johnny stabs him in the neck from behind and takes the radio to tell Marcus that they'll see him soon. Marcus then sends out Nakamura and his men. James finds them in the corridor and a vicious fight begins. The space is tight but this doesn't stop James from killing them all in just a matter of minutes. One of the mobsters tries to run away so James tackles him and begins hitting his head with a hammer. Johnny has to come to calm him down. Afterward the brothers finally reach the basement and untie the women. They start running but Johnny decides to go back to get his revenge on Marcus. Layla says she'll be fine and convinces James to stay too. Once the women are gone, James returns to the basement and finds Nakamura, so a gunfight ensues. Nakamura consumes happy powder between shots and when he runs out of ammo, he grabs a sword instead. James defends himself with hand-to-hand combat before grabbing a mace. After sliding the mace on Nakamura's face for extra damage, James pulls his arm to break it. This allows him to take the sword and stab him before pushing the blade into his face. Meanwhile Johnny finds Marcus trying to escape on his boat. He quickly tackles him and manages to disarm him. They start fighting hand to hand and throw every object they can reach at each other. Marcus finds a hook and stabs Johnny's shoulder to drag his body through the ground. Then Marcus takes back his gun and starts monologuing, giving Johnny time to activate the grenade he stole from the desk. A furious Marcus shoots Johnny anyway, causing him to fall into the water right before the grenade explodes. At that moment James reaches the pier and quickly jumps into the water to rescue his brother. Together they return to the surface and watch the fire that has killed Marcus. In the morning, Renard arrests Peter in public. Later the family relaxes on the beach and puts up pictures of their lost loved ones. Johnny apologizes to his mother for avoiding his home all this time and promises to do better with Valentina. At that moment Mr. K shows up and reveals he doesn't want Johnny to leave. He had been acting to force him to fight the Yakuza for him. Now his gang is the only one on the island again. As thanks, Mr. K gives Johnny a paper with the name of his mother's killer. Johnny shows it to James, who says he'll support him but also points out that Walter sent the flash drive to him as a way to bring him home. Johnny decides to burn the paper to finally leave his anger behind and joins his family to start a new life. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.